functions of a scholar of Islam is to read and to understand the world in that stage of history in which he lives, in that stage of the historical process in which he lives. So if you are a scholar of Islam alive today, we expect you to be able to read and understand using the Quran, using the truth which Allah has sent, and using not only these eyes, but this eye as well, the internal eye, the nur that Allah gives to you, and using the correct methodology. Here is the book on methodology, the correct methodology for study of the Quran. One of the most important things that my teacher of blessed memory, Maulana Fadlur Rahman Ansari rahimahullah, ever did was to teach the proper methodology for the study of the Quran. And this is what the scholars of Islam in this age must do. Using that proper methodology, they must study the world today. And the world today is like a river in a huge flood with dangerous currents in it. And I was 24, 25 years of age, and I had this dream. And I saw this river, a huge river. I seldom share my dreams with you, but I want to share this dream with you. I was about 25 years of age, and I was a student at the Alimia Institute of Islamic Studies in Karachi, Pakistan. And Maulana Fadlur Rahman Ansari was my teacher, rahimahullah. And I saw this huge river, bigger than the rivers of Guyana. And the river was swollen, floods, and there were lots of dangerous currents in the river. And I saw all my fellow students in the river, and they were all struggling to survive, all of them in danger of drowning, and lots of other people. And I saw myself swimming in that river and saving them one by one. So I woke up in the morning and I went to Maulana Fadlur Rahman Ansari, rahimahullah, and I said, Maulana, this is what I saw in my dream. He smiled and he said to me, he said, you are destined. This is your destiny to do precisely that in the future. May Allah have mercy on the soul of my beloved teacher. And this is what I'm trying to do now. This is the function of a scholar of Islam today. He must be able to recognize that the world today is like a swollen and a dangerous river. He must be able to recognize all the dangerous currents in the river. He must be able to recognize so many people are drowning, who are in danger of drowning. He must be able to go in that river and save the people. You can't do that if you want to have a backbone to be politically correct. You can't do that if you want to stay with the flock of scholars of Islam who are asleep. If you want to do that, you have to have insight, you have to be faithful to the truth. And then you could understand coronavirus. That's right, in Akhirul Zaman, when the last stage of history comes, Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam said it, and they know it. It was the Ghazwat Tabuk, the war of Tabuk. And he was sitting in a leather tent. This is a hadith of Sahih Bukhari. And he said, count 6 things before the end of the world, the Sa'ah. And amongst the six is, let me get it for you, amongst the six he said, Thumma mutan. And then he said there will be a plague. يَأْخُذُ فِيكُمْ كَنُعَاسِ الْغَنَمِ. There will be a plague, meaning an epidemic, and it will kill you in large numbers the way it kills sheep. This is what he said. This is one of his prophecies. So Akhirul Zaman is a time when there will be epidemics, plagues. The word which used to be used long ago was plague, but nobody uses that term anymore. Now they use the term epidemic instead of plague. And in the epidemic today we have the coronavirus, which has just attacked China. And one of the functions of the scholars of Islam today, if you are able to read the world correctly, is to offer an insight and offer an explanation and say Allah knows best. That's right, just say it, Allah knows best. You can be right, you can be wrong, but you must at least come forward and offer an explanation, which is what I'm doing. And my view is that Dajjal is at work in coronavirus, the one who wants to rule the world from Jerusalem. So he has to have a Pax Judaica, which will replace Pax Americana, the way Pax Americana replaced Pax Britannica. You know, the three. Pax Britannica, Pax Americana, Pax Judaica, so that Israel can rule the world. And Allah speaks of this in Surah Al-Mursalat. And when we interpret the Quran, only Allah can confirm that it is correct. But we must make the effort to interpret. Don't be afraid. Have some backbone. Intaliku ba'adawuzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Intaliku ila zillin dhi thalasi shab. Proceed now to that shadow which will come upon the world. A shadow which will have three parts. And my opinion, and Allah knows best, these are the three parts. In order for a Pax Judaica to replace Pax Americana, in order for Israel to become the ruling state in the world, the population of Arabs, this is Muslim and Christian Arabs which surround Israel, has to be substantially reduced. You cannot reduce that population substantially through warfare, because you'll get a very bad name. You can use warfare to take control of territory, which is what Israel is going to do. But in order to substantially reduce the population and not be blamed for it, you need something called biological warfare. What I am explaining is what they can do. They can explain the same thing, but they would not speak. I don't know. I don't know. I've now given up. I have given up. I've stopped trying with them. Let them go their way and I'll go mine. Okay? I've tried for 20, 30 years with them now, but they're just stuck in concrete. So brother, goodbye. I'm going my way. You go yours. This is what is happening today. They are using the coronavirus, in my opinion, it is a trial run. And they're using it with the most populous nation in the world, the Chinese. And they're using it to see how China will respond to control it, and how the World Health Organization in Geneva will respond to control it. And so they are monitoring the coronavirus, exquisite monitoring going on at this time. Those who want to rule the world from Jerusalem. That's what they're doing while this corona, of course, they're the ones who planted it in the first place. I have no doubt about that. Dajjal uses Gog and Magog to commit fasad, spread fasad all over the world. And so the coronavirus has to be located in biological warfare in Akhirul Zaman. That is my statement. How do we respond? I don't know how many people will die. That's not important to me. What is important to me is to see how does the Chinese government deal with this problem. We know that our Prophet said, Allah's blessings be upon him, 1400 years ago. He said, when a plague takes place, if you are located in that place where the plague is spreading, do not leave. And if you are outside, do not enter. It's called a quarantine. And he said this 1400 years ago, quarantine. And now the world has picked up that same system of quarantine. But if you are coming back to Trinidad from China, if they allow you to enter, they'll put you in quarantine and check to see whether or not you have the virus before they allow you to enter into the population. And so the important thing that they are doing now is monitoring the Chinese government to see how does the Chinese government respond to this epidemic of the coronavirus. And secondly, how does the world respond? What is the World Health Organization in Geneva doing? The president of the World Health Organization used to be a Muslim from Trinidad and Tobago. Yes. Kamaluddin Muhammad used to be president. I was a student in Geneva at that time when he was elected president of the World Health Organization, WHO, in Geneva. The second thing that is important for us is that to recognize that the Arabs are going to be wiped out by plague. Our Prophet ﷺ has spoken, and I've just given you the hadith from Sahih Bukhari about Mutan, a plague which will kill you the way sheep are killed. These are one of the 6 that he mentioned, 6 things, the hadith, which is at the time of the Ghazwat Tabuk. So the Arabs are the ones who have to be most concerned about coronavirus. And that is that every Arab government, Algeria, Mauritania, Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Iraq, Syria, Jordan, Yemen, the whole of the Arab, Jaziratul Arab, you should all be sending monitors, people who can go to Beijing, to monitor how the Chinese government is dealing with this problem. How can they contain it? See how the Chinese government is operating and learn from what they are doing, their mistakes, and will they correct things. Check to see how the World Health Organization is responding to it. Because tomorrow, after the trial runs are over, tomorrow the plague is going to hit the Arab world. And they will want to ensure that you are not prepared for it, and that huge numbers of Arabs will die as prophesied by the Prophet ﷺ. And so for the whole world of Islam, yes, it is important. But coronavirus is far, far more important for the Arab world, because this is Akhiru Zaman, and in Akhiru Zaman there is a prophecy of a virus attack on the Arab world which will kill huge numbers of Arabs. What else can we do to protect ourselves from virus and from these dangers of Akhir Zaman? Let me remind you of the ayah of Surah Al-Isra of the Quran. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بَعْدَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ وَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ, and when you recite the Quran. وَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ, Quran means a recitation. So when you recite that recitation, جَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ حِجَابًا مَسْتُورًا. We will place a hijab, which will separate you from that world which rejects belief in the hereafter, which is the modern Western world and the secularized world of today. It is from that world that all of these things are coming. It is from the Judeo-Christian alliance which leads that world, which does not believe in the hereafter. It's just words for them. They don't have any consequential belief in the hereafter, no. The religion is only paperwork. This is what Allah can do for you. He can protect you. That Allah will place a hijab, a curtain, a barrier which will protect you from them. But for that, you not only have to recite the Quran every day, but you have to recite the Quran as it ought to be recited. فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنَ. And when we have recited the Quran, Allah is speaking, you must follow that way of recitation. And his way we know, others may have more knowledge than me, of course they do have. But I know that he recited the whole Quran in Ramadan and did it through the angel. He recited the whole Quran in Ramadan. So we have 1 month in which to recite the whole Quran. That's the way, the divine way to recite the Quran. And you'll have 1 juz for every day. And of course, you know you must not break up the Quran into bits and pieces. قُلْ إِنِّي أَنَا النَّذِيرٌ مُبِينٌ. Say to them, O Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, I am a warner. And I warn in a way which is plain and clear, no ambiguity. كَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَى الْمُقْتَسِمِينَ. Here is the warning. And this warning is sent down to the muqtasimin. Who are the muqtasimin? The answer is there. الَّذِينَ جَعَلُوا الْقُرْآنَ عِدِّينَ. They are those who break up the Quran into bits and pieces. They take Surah Al-Baqarah, and when they reach 141, they chop it. And they say that is juz number 1. And they go to Baqarah 252, and when they reach there, they say juz number 2, and they chop it. Allah says, الَّذِينَ جَعَلُوا الْقُرْآنَ عِدِّينَ. They are those who break up the Quran into bits and pieces. And then he says, فَوَرَبِّكَ فَوَرَبِّكَ, O Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, I take an oath by your Rabb. لَنَسْأَلَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. I'm going to question every single one of them. بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. For what they have done to this Quran. So there is a correct way to recite the Quran cover to cover once a month. And if you do that, then when others are dying like sheep because of the epidemic, Allah can protect you. The Quran can protect you because وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ حِجَابًا مَسْتُورًا. So one of the ways in which you can protect yourself from the coronavirus and from the other dangers of Akhir Zaman is to recite the Quran from cover to cover once a month, every day, 1 juz a day, and to recite it the way that Allah recited it. This is our comment on the coronavirus.